I'm David Wilson, and this is Color Identity. For over a year, I've been traveling across the United States, interviewing the people who love magic. One of the things I've always loved about the game is how it allows players to express themselves in the way they play the game. Our personalities come out in the cards we choose, the colors we favor, and the strategies we love the most. In this show, I will interview your favorite Magic content creators while we play a game of Magic. I've asked them to play a deck that will show us who they are as a player and reveal who they are as a person. We will talk, play, and find out their true color identity. Hi, welcome to Color Identity. I'm David K. Wilson, and we're here in Dallas at Common Grounds Games, and we're here today with Mrs. Eldritch.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to play.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
So what are we playing today?
We are playing mono white aggro. So this comes from around the time that Kaldheim was legal in Standard, and so it's got a bunch of just little creatures that I eventually want to buff very quickly and eventually swing in your face before you can really build the board state.
Okay, cool. And why did you pick this one?
This was a deck that I played a lot. Basically, I first discovered Magic in late 2018, 2019, and first learned of the Commander deck, but then didn't really have anybody else to play with, and I found Magic Arena. And so I played, and then the pandemic hit, so I had lots of free time and lots of, we're just gonna sit down and learn Magic. So learned how the stack works, learned about mechanics, and this was one of the decks that I played very heavily with during that time. I also had a Dimir Rogues deck, but this was one that is, I find very easy to pilot and just brings a lot of joy when I look through the cards. I'm just like, oh, I love that card. Oh, I love that card too. And I love this one. And I love that one. So that's why I brought it.
Great. Well, I hope I can match you with my little mono green bounce house.
Perfect.
And yeah, let's get to it, shall we?
Let's get to it, yeah.
You want to roll for who goes
absolutely.
first? 18. Looks like you're going first.
The dice gods are favoring me today. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty close.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
Draw 7. So what does bounce house mean?
So I've got a couple of creatures that like to bounce things back into my hand, and a lot of creatures that do fun things when they enter the battlefield.
All right. I think we'll see. This is a little bit of a risky hand, but I think we're going to keep it.
Okay.
By the way, do we prefer to keep hands off the playmat so you can kind of see everything? Okay, doesn't really matter. Perfect. Well then I suppose I'll just start on the play then. I'm actually going to flip this Sajiri Shelter into a Sajiri Glacier. It will come in tapped.
Okay.
And I will pass.
All right. I will draw. We'll play this forest, and I'll send it back to you.
All right. I will untap. I will draw. I will play a Snow-Covered Plains. And then I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to tap 2. I'm going to play Daxos, Blessed by the Sun.
Okay.
So this is a 2-star creature. Its toughness is equal to my devotion to white. So currently it is a 2/2. Yes, I'm going to grab a little dice over here so you can see it is
Cool.
a 2/2. And then whenever another creature enters the battlefield under my control or dies, I gain 1 life.
Sounds good.
So I'll probably need more of these dice over here.
But that's why I set you up with the second one.
Perfect.
All right, I'm going to play another land. And I will tap for 2 and play Elvish Visionary. And then we'll draw a card.
I love that card.
She's lovely, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pass turn.
Excellent. That card does a lot of work in my Yarick Landfall deck. All right, so I untapped and I drew, and then I'm going to play a Faceless Haven. This is something I would love to showcase. This is one of my very favorite cards from Kaldheim, and it is a artist proof as well as signed, because I just fell in love with it. It's just spooky and beautiful and snowy and kind of fits everything. So I'm going to put that on the field. And then I will go ahead and tap for 3. I'm going to play an Elite Spellbinder.
Ooh.
It's a 3/1 flyer. When it ETBs, I may look at target opponent's hand, And then I may exile a non-land target card from it, and as long as it remains exiled, it costs 2 more for you to cast.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. We have any good bouncy house things in here? Let's see. Oh. I'm going to play look for, let's see, you can slow down your ramp. I think we're going to probably exile this one and make it a little more pricey.
Yep. Okay.
So we'll just hang out there for you.
So, is it exile? All right.
And I will pass. Actually, oh wait, you know what? This is now going to become a 3, and I will also gain a life. So I will go up to 20, 21. I am going to go ahead and swing Daxos at you.
Okay. I will take 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
Okay. Draw. I will play a forest. And then I will tap for 3. Play Wood Elves. So then I will search my for a forest. Oh, I gotta reveal it. There he is.
What excites you about Magic? I mean, you're here doing all of this.
Yeah.
What's driving you to do that?
You know, I've always, I started playing Magic back in '94 when I was a freshman in high school. And, you know, up to that point, I had been any kind of role-playing game nerd I could get my hands on. I loved D&D. I loved, you know, this like clunky old computer games like Bard's Tale and things like that, Final Fantasy, any of those things. And one of my brother's friends actually came home from a summer camp and said, I found out this new game, you're gonna love it. It's got fantasy art and there's dragons and knights and elves and all the stuff you love. You gotta learn how to play. And at first I was, you know, I was like, a card game, that sounds kind of stupid.
It's not a video game or a tabletop, I don't know.
Yeah. And then I went and bought, Revise was on sale, and I bought a starter deck, which sounds like it's something you can play with, but it's really not. It's really just 60 random cards. It's kind of like a big booster pack. I bought one of those, and the first card I think I saw was White Knight. I looked at it, and I was like, this is awesome. And
then it hooked you.
You know, I think the next weekend I was getting all my friends into it, and within like 3 months we were playing tournaments and staying up all night. We were completely devoted to it for a few years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm done with my
Are you
turn.
done? Okay.
So what is it about mono white that you enjoy playing so much?
What's interesting is I usually am playing Commander, where I do not really play a little bit of whites. But this, it builds up so easily and so quickly, and there's creatures that are really fun with lots of like life gain and +1/+1 counters, and just really interesting fun things. And so it just sort of draws me to it, and it's very coherent. So there's not a ton of build up. I don't have to have kind of this giant mana base to be able to cast this giant spell to do anything. It's just like, do I have 2 mana? I can do most things and just kind of get in there and go. So aggro maybe is kind of the whole thing. Like combat is really
Nice.
fun. Yeah. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna play this lovely All Is One Plains.
I really love that series of lands.
Me too. They're so pretty. I have the mountains in one of my other decks. So let's see. Let's tap it this way. No, actually, don't need this. We'll tap 2 for a Luminarch Aspirant.
Okay.
So Daxos is now at 4 because I have 4 devotion.
Mm-hmm.
I will also gain another life.
Okay.
So at the beginning of combat on my turn, I may put a +1/+1 counter on target creature I control. And these get really fun and out of control when you have like 4 of them on the board at the same time. It's a great time. I will enter combat. I will go ahead and put a +1 counter on my Elite Spellbinder.
I had a feeling that was coming.
Yeah, he's in the air, kind of helps.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and swing my Spellbinder at you. So I'll swing at you
Okay.
for 4 in the air.
I'm down to 14.
Excellent. Now pass to you.
All right. I'll untap. So when you see new cards in a set, what's the process like for you to evaluate what you like, what you don't, what you want to play with, what you don't want to play with?
Mm.
We play a
Um,
forest.
it's usually a combination of sort of the art and then the mechanics of whatever's on the card. So, um, if you usually get like really stunning art, like there was a Doctor Who card that just came out yesterday that's just like this like stunning demon. It's like beautiful art, and it's like just really beautiful to behold by itself. And then reading the text, it involves me stealing creatures and smacking people with them, and I think that's kind of a really interesting thing to do. Is like you can have a terrifying thing on your side of the board, but if I take it from you and hit you with it, then I get a reward, and that sounds kind of fun. So it's usually like, is it in my colors? Is it in sort of my style of type of Magic that I like to play, and then also does it have a home in anything I currently play? So is it like, oh, easy slot in with my Rakdos deck, or is it an easy slot in for my mono black deck, that kind of thing? Yeah, and then if it's just intriguing to be like, I've never thought about building around something like that, but I think this is the one to kind of like spark that. So that's sort of how I look at it. Yeah.
I'm gonna tap for 4 green. Bring out Stampeding Wildebeests.
Ooh, what's that?
So it is a 5/4 trample. At the beginning of my upkeep, return a green creature I control to the owner's hand.
Excellent.
So, then
At the beginning of upkeep or combat?
Upkeep.
Okay.
So,
got you.
it's got to survive. And that's it. So do you find that your color identity when you're playing on Arena in a 60-card format, or however you're playing it, is different from when you're playing Commander?
Yes, or it's also possible that has evolved as I've evolved as a Magic player. So the decks that I played on Arena very heavily were either mono white, or also had Demir. I think it was maybe a little bit of green. But in Commander right now, I'm heavily Rakdos. Like I love basically anything that touches black, or I'm now moving into red. So I just built my first mono red deck, and I am massively hooked. Versus in Arena and Standard, there's a lot of mono red aggro, and I never really connected with that, or at least connected with the cards very much. So yeah, it's a little bit different. And I don't have a mono white deck at all in EDH, so which I might change eventually. But so yeah, it's a little bit different. I feel like also the speed is different as well.
Mm-hmm.
In EDH, I have to think about like the entire card pool and all of the strategies that exist. Versus when I was building this deck, you kind of had a meta to compete with. So you had a couple of things you really need to be able to handle or deal with in a game. Versus in EDH, it's like any number of cards, any number of styles, any number of threats on the board. You have to be able to kind of handle all of it. So it's a very different kind of scope, I think.
Yeah. Do you find that the meta of Commander is a lot more difficult to navigate than some of these other formats like Standard or Modern?
So I think the meta in Commander, you have it's a much larger card base, and so I feel like you have fewer. In Standard, you get like a top 5 decks. You have like the mono white aggro, you have the mono red aggro, you've got sort of a green mid range, and then you've got like a Rakdos sack deck, and that you sort of have to compete with kind of these top couple of things, and there's usually 3 or 4 cards within each of those decks that present unique threats that you have to take care of. So when that card hits the board, I need to be able to do X, Y, Z. Or this deck runs a lot of discard effects, therefore I need to make sure that I have a lot of card draw, that sort of thing. So you're responding to it very specific types of threats. Or I feel like with Commander, there are top commanders to build around and very common staples that you want to look out for, but the list is so much larger that you kind of, at least I feel, need to be a little bit more generic. So I need to be like, do I have artifact and enchantment removal? Do I have a board wipe or 2? Do I have some creatures that can kind of help block or give me some evasion? Do I have some spells to respond to really nasty things on the board? But they're less specific than like, I know when Sultai Ultimatum is cast, I need to have a counter spell in hand to deal with it. That sort of thing. So it's a much more vague, and so it's, but it makes really fun games, because then it's like, somebody will bring the deck to the table. I have no idea what's in it. I don't really know what they're playing, how they constructed their deck, and it's like I get to experience a brand new game every time I sit down.
Cool.
See, I knew it. I meant that to happen. All right. Okay, so I'm going to play a snow-covered plains, and then we're going to. Well, let's see. We're gonna tap 1, 2, and 3 for a Maul of the Skyclaves.
Ooh, okay.
So when it comes in, I attach it to target creature I control. So I'm gonna pop this onto Daxos. And equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and has first strike. So Daxos is also now in the air as well. And he is now a 4/6. I'm also going to tap 1 more white for a Selfless Savior. So this is a cute little guy that I can sacrifice it, and another target creature I control gains indestructible until end of turn. So another creature entered the battlefield under my control, so I will pop this up to 23 life.
Okay.
And then let's see, how's my devotion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna go up to 5 devotion here. So this is a 4/7 in the air. And then I will enter combat, so my Luminarch Aspirant will trigger. So I will go ahead and add a second counter onto my Elite Spellbinder.
Okay.
And I will swing a Spellbinder and a Daxos in the air at you. So we've got 5.
Ouch.
Actually 10 in the air coming your way.
10 in the air, and I can't do anything about it. Okay. I will take it. Wait, you said 10, so there's 4 left. I can do math.
And pass. Math, who needs it? I always like to call that magic math. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's 4-ish.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play a forest. I've got some options. Oh, and before that, during my upkeep, I will bring back Elvish Visionary to my hand.
Nice.
And then I'm going to tap for 2, bring out Elvish Visionary. I will draw a card. Wasn't what I wanted. And then I will,
We'll throw our cards on the floor.
I got very excited cards today. I will play Prey Upon. I will have Stampeding Wildebeest attack or fight Daxos.
Okay. In response, I will. Oh, I don't have to tap anything, actually. I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice the Selfless Savior, which will go to my graveyard, and I will make Daxos indestructible.
Okay.
Until end of turn.
He's 5/4, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
It is a 4. Oh, actually, it might not die.
Or 4/5.
Yep, 4/5.
Yeah, so he does.
Perfect.
That did not do
4/7,
well for
actually.
me. Okay, I will pass turn.
All right.
With my tail
Pass
between my legs.
turn. What about you? What sparks joy for you about this green deck? And is it a color you usually play?
You know, this one was really something I played a lot in, I had a very long stretch where I really only played online. So I started out on Magic Online.
Okay.
And then when they came out with the Duel of the Planeswalker series on, you get it in a lot of different formats, but I would play it on iPad. And it was really appealing to me because I didn't need to have a lot of paper Magic. I didn't have a lot of friends at the time that played Magic that lived near me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could just play online. And then as I started getting back into paper Magic, I went back and kind of looked at a bunch of the decks that I kept playing in those formats, and I built them in real life.
I love that.
So now I walk around, I have this little fat pack full of decks, and if anybody comes over and they're like, hey, I want to play, I'm like, hey, I've got these 6 decks, and we can just bust them out and play a quick game, and you don't have to worry about putting stuff together. And, it's just kind of already ready to go.
I love that. It gives you a chance to just like it's nice having the collection because then you can just hand someone a deck and say, "Hey, let's go," versus like I then have to bring over the packs, so I have the cards. You can just have everything, hand it to someone, and go, which is what I love.
And especially if it's somebody I know who played those games as well. I'm like, hey, I remember you like the white black exalted.
Mm-hmm.
I had built that. Here, you can play it. And
I bet that's so much fun.
It's fun.
Get to kind of tailor it towards like their gameplay styles.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to.
So, what's your current favorite build in Arena right now?
My current favorite build in Arena. I have a mono green brawl deck that I put together that kind of like a little haphazardly, but it sort of does green stuff, and it's got a lot of like really fun cards that I've collected over the years through Arena. So like some of my favorites are like Questing Beast, Elder Gargaroth, some of those like really just nasty green creatures, and it ramps really hard and puts things on the battlefield, and I get to swing, and it's a great time. So that's kind of my. I play mostly Commander, but when I do play Arena, it's like a really fun. Like, turns out it does the thing, and I love all these creatures, and this is so much fun. So it's actually a deck that I've built in Arena that I'm looking to maybe do in paper because it's a really, really, really fun.
Nice.
I think we're gonna do well. We'll do.
I mean, you've got me.
I really could just swing out at
you
this
could kill
place.
me.
We're gonna send Dexos in the air, and Elise.
Let's play again.
Cool. That sounds great.
So, along those lines, do you use the Brawl format on Arena to kind of either goldfish a commander deck that you like to play, or I mean, it's not really goldfishing, but you kind of practice using it, or maybe audition some stuff that you're considering playing?
That's sort of how it ended up with this particular deck that I'm talking about. Was my partner has been getting into historic brawl, and so I was like, well, let me just slap something together because I don't really, I haven't played like a ton of brawl, so let me put something together. And yeah, got a chance to also kind of work out the tweaks because you're able to play faster than you are if I just bring a deck in paper to say a commander game. So it allows kind of me to find the weaknesses of the deck much quicker. But typically, if I'm working on a commander deck, it's a little difficult with Arena sometimes because you need to have like the wild cards in order to be able to use them to build the decks in order to play them. So what I've often done is I will use play testing through something like Moxfield. So I can just put in all the cards that I want and then have like a little play testing there. It's not quite as interactive as Arena, so I like Arena better for that. I also love Arena for the trigger management. Because there'll be things where it's just like, oh, you get your little stack, and you're like, oh, right, all of the synergies, and I would have missed that thing if I, like I missed a trigger in that last game because I just aren't paying attention, but Arena does all that work for you, so.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Do you ever have cards where you're like, I don't really know how that would work in a game, and you play it in Arena to figure it out?
I have done that before. I'm trying to think, I haven't done a ton of it lately. I'm trying to think of an example of what would be an example of that. I'll just get back to you on that. I can think of that. Yeah. It's usually some of the more complicated ones, not just like, oh, put a little 1/1 on something. It's always the strange do this thing and then do the other thing, and then if you have X number of things, then you do it Y, and then you're like, I don't. There's one card right now that I wish could do that in Arena. Actually, this is a great idea. I should do that. It's called Battle Angels of Tyr, and it has Myriad, and it checks for like lands and life and something treasure tokens maybe, and I'm like, those are all words. I don't quite know how that would work in paper, so having Arena to be able to test something like that sounds like a dream. I'm short one card. All right, let's see. We're gonna keep this. I will definitely keep this. This looks great. What about you?
Oh wait, I just drew my hand from last turn. I think that the automation in Arena is really helpful because you can just play any kind of overly complicated deck, and it will tell you how these things are supposed to work.
Yes.
And then if you take it to your LGS, maybe you
it's a little more complicated.
I'll cut it myself.
Yes. Yeah, I've got a friend who plays a lot of limited in Arena and often says that it is a a fundamentally different game because of that. Because you have something else managing all the triggers versus like if you and I are playing, I'm sitting at a commander game, there's all sorts of triggers all over the board that we might be missing, or it stacks in a particular way that you might not think about when you're playing in paper. And so that management just turns it into a slightly different beast. And I think both are great because one helps you really learn the stack. You can actually see all of the cards in the way that they are stacking, which ones are referring to which pieces. But the other way is like just learning to kind of manage your own board of like, oh wait, I forgot this thing triggers over here. I forgot I need to draw a card off of this. And it just helps you kind of get to know your cards on a even more intimate level.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you have a keepable 7?
Yeah.
Would you like to roll again?
Sure.
Drop down.
I got a 3.
Let's see.
Oh!
Wow, a 4.
The minimum
Barely.
effective dose.
Excellent. All right. I will choose to draw this time.
Okay. Then I will go first. I will come out of the gate swinging with a Bond Beetle.
Ooh.
So he comes into play. I can put a 1/1 counter on any creature. I don't really have many options. So pass turn.
All right. I shall draw. All right. I'm going to play a Snow-Covered Plains. This is from one of my a secret lair that I love. They do a whole series of like pixel lands.
Mm-hmm.
So this is beautiful. I wanted to include it. I will tap for 1.
It looks very Magic Online.
I know, it does. It's so gorgeous. Actually, I think they had a second set that just dropped as well. I'm going to play a Speaker of the Heavens. This is a Vigilance lifelink, 1/1. But if I have at least 7 more life than my starting total, then I can tap it to create a 4/4 angel.
Okay.
And pass.
Start spitting out those angels.
This was like, actually, some of the cards in this deck came from playing against people that were using them, and I'd be like, I gotta kill that speaker immediately. Have to, can't, because they're just gonna start doing the life gain and then pumping out angels, and then I'm dead. So, but I love it on my side of the board. It's very fun.
I'm gonna tap for 2. Bring out another Elvish Visionary. Draw a card. And then I'm swinging for 1.
Excellent. I will take 1. So what about you? Since you've been playing longer than I have, and sort of throughout multiple parts of your life, do you feel like Magic has kind of helped stabilize some of those areas where social life options have kind of eroded a little bit?
You know, I mean, I think there have been times. I mean, when I first moved to LA after college, I didn't really know anybody, and I actually wasn't playing Magic at that time. And looking back, I was thinking, God, I should have gone to some of the LGSs around and just played, and I would have gotten to know people a lot faster. But I think even as a man in his early 40s, with kids at home, it's hard to meet new people.
Yeah.
It's hard to become friends with adults because we're all so busy and we have lives. And, I think there are very few activities where you can build those, social repetitions with people fast enough. I mean, if you think about friends you made in school, per se, like you're hanging out with those people, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like you build up a rapport much faster, and it's a much more long-lasting thing. Even if it's somebody you meet at work, you're not really interacting with them that much.
Right.
So if you can be meeting people at an LGS, and they're people that you see in the commander pods regularly, like you've spent much more time with them much faster, and you really get to know them a lot faster than if it's somebody you see at a bar or something, and maybe you talk to them for 5 minutes and walk away. So I feel like now it's really become helpful. I wish I had known how helpful it was back, at certain times when it would have been really helpful. But
yeah,
you live and you learn, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, and I find that it's also a good way to sort of get talking to people as well. It's like if you and I have never met each other and we like talk for 5 minutes at a bar, like I might not know what we have in common. I'm not sure, we have small talk, but there's not a lot to kind of start propelling me into the types of things you like what kind of person are you, how do you feel, how do you express yourself. And I feel like magic allows you to do that, because whether it's if I'm meeting someone for the first time, I get to say like, hey, what types of cards do you like to play, what colors do you resonate with the most, what's your favorite card in your deck. You immediately get a sense of kind of who they are, what they value, what brings them to life when they start talking about things. The same thing in Commander games. Like if I've never met you before, but I sit down, I get a chance to see you express yourself through these cards that I might not otherwise get to know until much later. So I think it's a great way of kind of getting to know people's flavors. And that really excites me.
I totally agree. I mean, that's sort of the whole purpose of the show.
Yeah.
Yep, it's your
Bring
turn.
the Luminarch out again.
There she is again.
So I will put a 1/1 on a creature I control. So I'm going to put a 1/1 on my little Speaker of the Heavens.
Okay.
So it is now a 2/2, and I'm going to swing it at you.
Well, if you're going to be rude about it.
I shall politely send it your direction. In that case, since it has... Oh, actually it has Vigilance. I don't need to tap it. We're going to go up to 20 and add 1, because it is a 2/2.
Okay.
And I will pass to you.
All right. I'm going to untap, draw a card, and I will tap for 1, bring out another Bond Beetle. I'll put the counter on this strapping young insect, and I'll swing him at you.
I will take the 2. I don't know why I have 8 over here. I'm going to go back down to 19.
Yep.
Again, magic math.
So, what kinds of things do you think you learn about people when you see how they express themselves throughout the game?
What types of things do I learn? I think the first one is what excites them. So what excites them, and also kind of how they approach the board and play. So you have some people that might be, and I find this gets reflected very well in colors that they're drawn towards. So if you have people that are very heavily kind of drawn towards like the blue-black colors, you might get lots of critical thinking, lots of maybe kind of clever plays that you might not expect, maybe some self-satisfaction in terms of, they might be a little bit more, you might have to kind of pay attention to how they run the board and how they interact with it, versus you've got, I think, people like me that are very red heavy. And so I'm not a big combo player, so I'm not the person that's going to try to hit you with like a bunch of grape shots with like a massive storm type deck, because that requires a lot of math. And I'm just much more of a like, I'm going to have a giant creature and I kind of want to send it at you. And it's just really fun. I'm going to turn a bunch of things sideways and come at you. And it's a great time. Versus people that are kind of very meticulous and very good at strategizing, so they can build into these gorgeous combos. Like seeing storm players work is just like a excellent thing. But I'm not necessarily drawn that way. So it's really fun to kind of see, or how they respond to things. When are they going to respond to things? So you kind of just learn, what type of person they are, how they get activated, what excites them.
Nice.
I'm going to untap. I don't think I drew. How many cards do you have in your hands?
5.
Okay. I'm making sure I'm in the same. I'm not asking for any nefarious reasons. I promise. Mostly. I'm going to play another Snow-Covered Plains. And then I'm going to tap 3 and bring out one of my very favorite creatures from Kaldheim, which is Redeem.
Nice.
So she is flying in Vigilance and 2/3. So I'm going to make all your snowlands come in tapped. I just need you to know. So,
damn it.
I know. I'm sorry I'm wrecking your gameplay over here.
You're devastating my board.
And then also, notably, non-creature spells you cast with CMC 4 or higher cast 2 more.
Okay.
So that big 5 and 6 instant or sorcery in your hand.
I'll deal with that in several turns when I have that.
We will, let's see, I'm going to put another +1/+1. Let's see, so your large creature is tapped and you've got 2 others. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on this as well and then swing again with its Vigilance. So
sounds good. I'm going to take it. Cool. So I'll go down to 15.
And then I will go up to 22. promise I'll do more of this and not just trade little like 3 points of life as we go. But go ahead.
Okay. So do you feel like your color identity has shifted a little bit as you've played and learned and experimented more with the game?
Yes. I used to be very into Sultai as I sort of came into Magic. It was like one of my very first decks. It was like a Sultai landfall deck. So, blue, green, black. But I have so quickly gravitated away from blue and into red. I used to be like, don't make me play a red deck. I don't want to. I don't want to use red. And then I built an Itali deck for an all Itali pod. So we're all bringing the same commander to the table, and fell in love. Like, just I love
You're talking about the new Italia or the old one?
old original.
Okay.
So the mono red one. I'm going to build the new one because it's also delightful. But yeah, so I just love the bursts of mana. I love kind of the big plays and like the big payoff, and then like, okay, I just had like a really gross turn. Please now murder me, because I had so much fun doing all of that. And it's just a really fun kind of new exploration. So.
What was it about red that you were hesitant about in the beginning?
It's interesting because I think it sort of shifted from me feeling it was a little boring. Like, I know I hate to kind of say that I know everyone has feelings about like, how dare you call my favorite color boring? That is the worst. But yeah, I think maybe just the archetypes I kind of see in Arena, like nothing really kind of pulled to me or appealed to me. But then getting a chance to kind of play interesting stuff, like the Itali was not an Arena, like that had shifted out of Standard by the time I got to Arena. But interesting thing about like, I get to play your cards, and then building a deck around like when I cast your things, it also does damage to you is really interesting. So it's kind of this like fun new kind of way of thinking about things, other than just say mono red goblins, which like doesn't have a lot of appeal for me. Versus the inverse now, where I find it difficult to connect with blue. I find there's a lot of control pieces in blue, a lot of tapping and card draw, and that's not really kind of what I want to spend my time doing while I'm playing. So I tend to either go for gain and drain decks, or big monster combats mostly. So I have like dinosaurs, Eldrazi, Lord Xander's another one, so it's just like these big nasty things. Or I just have like little aristocrats usually, or decks like this where it's just like tiny things that will eventually gain me life and they get me where I want to be.
So how is it that this is appealing,
Mm-hmm.
but mono red goblins is not? I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
It's a good question, and I do wonder. So this definitely represents more of what I was playing when I was sort of still learning Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder if I were to go back and kind of start fresh again, what meta, like what decks and what types of colors would appeal to me now. I would probably go into probably some like Rakdos Sacrifice decks that are like really fun. Is probably what I would lean towards now. But it's a good question, because this seems like very much that, where it's just like, oh, we like have little things and we buff them a little bit and then we swing them. But yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
So I'll have to think about it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to swing with my Bond Beetle. 2/3.
A 2/3. I'm gonna put Redain in front of it, and they're gonna like high five.
Okay. I'm gonna play a Giant Growth.
Ooh.
So he's now 5/6.
They will not high five anymore. Redain will die.
And then I will tap another and prey upon. Well, after combat is resolved, I will prey upon and go for the Speaker of the Heavens.
All right, so it will also die, but I will gain 3 because of lifelink.
Well, and
I go up to 25.
This guy.
I do also find in sort of like either standard or these types of 60 card formats, where you can have multiple copies of things, that cards like this are great, because then they start like working off of each other, and suddenly you're adding like 3+1/+1 counters through combat. Versus when I tried to put this into a commander deck, like it's still a very good card, but in terms of like it didn't have that sudden like synergistic power that it does when you're kind of narrowing it to a very limited set of creatures. And so I think that's how like it feels very different than a commander deck. Because I have put these into decks before, but they don't feel quite the same or have the same weight when there's like probably 12 other cards that are even better at doing what it does.
Yeah.
So.
Or you need to find cards,
a lot of
cards that are similar, so you can have 6 or 7 of the same kind of thing.
Exactly. I will draw. It's my lonely little Luminarch. So you have so your thing died as well?
Yeah, because you took 2 damage from your angel and then
Gotcha.
3 from your...
Okay, I see. Play another snow-covered plains.
Your angel pimp over there.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and do this one again. So we're going to tap 3. And I want to take a quick peek at what's in your hand. We're going to play the Spellbinder.
Guess what? There's no land.
No land. Well, good. Oh, I see that acidic slime. I do not like that.
At least 3 turns where we have to deal with that.
That's true, because this is, like this would immediately be my first target. However, let's see, 3 or greater. What's going to slow you down now? So you have 2. Oh, I could be super mean and take your wood elves. That feels extra. That feels kind of mean. So we'll do the Ivy Lane Denizen. I'll permit you to keep your ramp.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
You know. But also you're a green player. Is it actually going to matter that much if I slow your ramp down? You know.
I don't know. I've had 2 lands for quite a while.
That's true. You're like, please let me keep it, please. All right, and then I will enter combat. So +1/+1 will be put on a creature. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the aspirant, and I'm going to swing at you with it.
Okay.
So it's a 2/2.
So I'll go down to 13. And
pass.
Yeah. You're all done?
Yep, I'm all done.
That's all you got?
Yep. For now.
All right.
Hey, we got there.
There we go. Let's have 3 and bring out these wood elves.
See, aren't you glad I let you hang on to that?
I am.
It's my benevolence. What about you? Has your colors shifted at all or what you're naturally drawn towards?
I was very naturally a Gruul player when I started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you kind of try everything.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest shift was when I started playing Commander. I've only been playing Commander for about a year.
Okay.
And when I first started playing Commander, I kind of tried to approach it the same way I play other formats, and was just getting smoked every time. And then realized, do you want to cut my cards?
Oh, sure.
Because I memorized exactly how they were going.
Did you? All right. Expect you to
But,
murder me in the
kind
next
of
3
shifted
cards.
more to like different kinds of cards. I got more into enchantments and artifacts, and it moved me around the color wheel a little bit.
Okay.
I
say from Gruul into what are you kind of like?
My favorite deck I've gotten right now is Sithis Harvest Hand. So very Celestia, white green, enchant everything, builds a bunch of tokens and come at you with a giant force of angels and spirits, and stuff like that.
Are you?
Yeah, I can't do anything else. So go ahead.
Perfect. Then we'll draw.
Just yakking.
Untap. Oh, I like the yakking. All right, that's what I'm looking for. All right, I'm going to play a Faceless Haven. And then, let's see. I'm going to, let's see. All right, we're going to tap 1 and 2 for another Luminarch Aspirant.
Okay, got to get this thing going or you're going to run me over.
So when I enter combat, I will have both of them trigger. So I'm going to put one on, I'm going to use this one's, put it on here. And then I'll use the other one to go ahead and put it on this one.
Okay.
So aggro is going to do aggro things. We're going to send you, let's see, this is 3, this is 6 in the air.
Okay. Wait, 6 in the air?
Yep.
She
Oh,
flying?
sorry, 6. just six altogether.
Yeah. Okay.
We can pretend she's flying. Definitely, that's how that works.
I'll block your aspirant with my beetle, and then I'll take the.
Perfect.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm done. Pass. Pass turn.
All right. Another one of these poorly cut forests.
Oh yeah, I was just noticing that. I love that.
And then we'll tap 3 for an elemental bond. So whenever a creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under my control, I draw a card.
All right. Anything else?
Can't really do much. Actually, wait a second.
Oh, wait a second.
I'll swing
Wait,
for 2.
wait. Oh, I will take 2.
Okay.
I will go down to. These don't make a lot of sense.
I think I might have knocked them over at one point.
How dare you?
23?
23.
Okay.
All right. Now pass?
And I pass, yeah.
All right. We'll untap. I shall draw. All right. So I'm going to do. Actually, you know what? I can do it all. We're going to tap 1 for Speaker of the Heavens.
Okay.
A little 1/1 lifelinker again. And then I'm going to tap 3 snow-covered plains, and I'm going to animate this Faceless Haven. So it'll become a 4/4. And so I will enter combat. So combat, I will put a +1/+1 on this. I will roll up the +1. Actually, I probably should do that differently. I'm going to put both the +1/+1s up here on this lovely flyer in the air and not on this one.
Okay.
Okay, and then I will do aggro. So I will send you, let's see, so this will be 3, this will be 6 in the air, and I'm also going to send you a Faceless Haven and a Luminarch Aspirant.
Oh, I'm wide open, so you got me.
I guess that'll be like that. There we go.
Okay. Good game.
Good game.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for coming. That was really fun.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been excellent.
Okay. That was good.
Yeah, absolutely.